small as it's related to the constitutional reform that is supposed to be taking place. He's one of them who will be sitting or is sitting with the persons who is formulating the next constitution and also to carry Jamaica into a republic. We would really like to know what kind of republic is being offered here and what is it when they say republic? What will it mean? What difference will it make? Because now everybody are clamor to get rid of king and go to republic. But, you know, them say you swap this for that. You jump out of frying pan in a fire. You hear about a republic now. People say yes, 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 yes. But given the people them who rule the country now, who is under the king, all of them under the king. When they say republic, how them going to make a difference and still being under the king? That is some question need to be answered. We're going to take a break and come forward. And we want to speak to veteran attorney Small as it relates to the thing that is going around. Everybody is trying to figure out what is happening, especially amongst the people. So we can get some clarity. We turn to Small to give us some clarity. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Muto.
Yes, sir. I see that you get a job on this group of ones who is going to shape Jamaica differently.
It's a voluntary service. It is not a job.
Well, you know, but
That's
very
fine.
important, most important, not,
I agree with you.
yeah, not since 1962 this has happened. So we really want to know, firstly, what is it that you and the group is going to do at this moment?
Well,
what are you mandated to do now?
I'm a member of the Constitutional Reform Committee that has been set up by the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs as an advisory committee to consider what are some of the changes that can be made at this stage to reform the Jamaican Constitution. The government of Jamaica, which consists of the party that forms the government and the opposition, have to work together for the amendment of the Constitution, because whatever proposal that they put into the reform process will eventually result in us having a referendum in which the people will be the final and decisive say in how the Constitution may be changed.
So how you decide what to put up front to decide that this need to be changed? By what? How you decide?
The government set out some terms of reference that bind and control what we can do at this stage. They want to concentrate in the first stage on those changes that need a referendum. That is to say, those changes of the Constitution that can only be made if the people vote in favor of it.
For instance,
for example, to remove the British monarchy entirely from the Constitution of Jamaica. That is to say, the present Constitution, the one that we have had since independence, has the monarch, the Queen of England originally, and now the King of England as the head of the state of Jamaica, And the monarch, the Queen originally, and the King now are represented by the Governor General. Even the legislative, that is to say, the powers to make laws in Jamaica, involve a power to be exercised by the monarch through the Governor General. And one of the basic changes that has to be made now, that it is proposed to make now, is that the British monarch will be completely removed from the Jamaican Constitution, and we will have to have a head of state created by the Jamaican people to be the office, the institution that will play that role, all the roles that the King of England now plays.
All right, so that means they're going to get rid of the Governor General, and they're going to get rid of what in the Constitution can be gotten rid of without returning to the Constitution to not validate it. In other words, are we going to use the yardstick of the Constitution to decide that this must stay and this must not stay? Or how you work that out?
Yes, we have to use the yardstick of the Constitution, because all the institutions of government in Jamaica are created under the Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land.
Yes.
The Parliament is established by the Constitution. The court system is established by the Constitution. And so we are going to have to follow the Constitution and the procedure that the Constitution sets out for getting rid of the British monarch.
And there is something available in the Constitution of how to get rid of the monarch.
Yes, and it requires that a law is tabled in the House of Representatives. It has to sit on the table for 3 months before the debate starts. After the debate takes place, there has to be a vote on it in the House of Representatives. Then there has to be another period of waiting before it goes to the Senate. And after it goes to the Senate, there is another waiting before the people vote upon it in a referendum. And a referendum is the final stage of lawmaking that brings about those sections of the Constitution that are deeply entrenched, and those include the monarch as the head of state and the monarch as part of our legislation process.
All right, so we get rid of the Queen, the King, and the Governor General office. Who is it that is going to select now the leader of the country, and what form of representation the people is going to get from that person?
Well, there have been consideration of this point for many years here in Jamaica, but we have never got around to the present state where we are, where it's to actually take action. So that in 1995, there was a report that recommended that the head of state of Jamaica would be the president. And the president would have certain powers that included most of the powers and additional powers that the Governor General now exercises on behalf of the Queen. So we are going to have, if we are to establish a constitution that is Republican, to have a president. There are some people in the public who feel that we should have a president that has more power than the proposal that was made for the establishment of the presidency in 1995. And a number of people look at countries like the United States, where the president has a lot of executive power that gives her or him the power, for example, to propose certain laws and to make certain appointments. But the current thinking, particularly of the two political parties that form up the government of Jamaica, is that we should not have an executive president, but a president who is head of state that has powers similar to the powers that are now exercised by the Governor General.
Oh, so it's like a figurehead then. The president would be a figurehead.
Well, I don't want to call the president a figurehead because the president would come into being as a result of the vote at the referendum. But he's a figurehead in the sense that if you compare the model that has been proposed with, say, the powers that the President of the United States, or for that matter, the President of many of the states in Latin America have, that president that is being proposed would not have as much power as those presidents.
So the president that you're talking about, in which way, how we go about selecting that president? I know that individual, how do you go about it? Because there's two parties in Jamaica right now. And we can talk about a bipartisan selection. But we know that the two parties sometimes seem to be like one party. So how do we break the back of that stronghold?
Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, to elect, how do we know? Because right now the Prime Minister is selected, right? Now, who is going to elect the president?
Well, the proposals that were made in 1995, which is the base from which I think the government and the opposition knows. I'm not expressing my personal opinion, I'm expressing the opinion of what was in the 1995 proposal, is that there would be a consultation, that is to say, a talking between the leader of the opposition and the Prime Minister to find somebody who would be acceptable, not only to those two sides of the House of Representatives and the Senate, but also somebody who would be acceptable to the nation as a whole, as representing the nation as a whole. And that nomination would be voted on by each House of Parliament, sitting by itself, but voting by at least 2/3 in favor of the president. There are also proposals that perhaps the two houses of parliament could sit together and exercise that vote. But if you look at the current situation, you will see that in the House of Representatives, the party of which Mr. Hollis is a leader has more than 2/3 of of the House of Representatives. So that is one of the things that has to be further discussed. I'm not expressing my personal opinion.
Yeah, I understand.
To assist in getting a better understanding of what is taking place.
All right, there's a lot of argument around that the commission that is selected to do this work is not wide enough. There are more groups of people in Jamaica that could have been included in this commission. I don't know if you agree with it or not, but I personally feel that a lot of ones out there is feeling frustrated because they never get a chance to really involve in this such a momentous situation. What do you think about that?
I think that that is a point of view to which we have to listen, because the structure of our parliament is based upon first past the post. That is to say, we vote in constituencies, and the person who gets the majority, that is, the votes cast plus a majority of as little the way in which the parliament is now constituted. And the constitution itself, the Constitution of Jamaica, recognizes the structure of constituencies and the structure of the House of Representatives being based upon the representative being elected on a constituency basis.
You mean, all right. The idea, all right, you see, people look on the American system a lot of time and come to the attention, come to the thing that the American idea of a president and the governors, which we know that America is a continent and each state is like the governor is like the prime minister of that country, but you still have the executive first, which is the president. Now, the president is always, in terms of the vote, is always either the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I kind of say a grip. There's a grip without trying to get in somebody else in this thing. Like a next party, you have independent party in America that no care what them do, them can't break the back of the political party. It's either the president going to come from one or the other party. I kind of don't understand how we're going to break the back that these two parties who's continuously either, how we break the back of that to get someone else inside of that.
All right, before I answer that, let me complete the answer to the first question. You heard me cough because I was having a tickling in my throat. The Constitutional Reform Committee that has been appointed includes representatives of the party that forms the government and representatives of the party that forms the opposition. But in addition to that, there are representatives of the church. There are representatives of youth. There are representatives of other different interests within the society. But those persons, by and large, have been chosen by the government and the opposition. They also have some constitutional law representatives, like Dr. Lloyd Barnett and Mr. Richard Albert, Professor Richard Albert, so that it is not accurate to say that only the viewpoints of the government and the opposition are represented on the Constitutional Reform Committee. But coming now to your wider question about other points of view and how it can be changed. The way the Constitution is now set up, because representatives who go to the House of Representatives have to win a seat in a specific constituency, and because the Senate is made up based upon which party has the majority to be able to form the government and which party has the position to be able to form a leader of the opposition or be able to have its leader appointed the leader of the opposition. We do not have represented in the parliament, that is to say in the House of Representatives or in the Senate, other points of view. There was an attempt when Mr. Patterson was the Prime Minister, and I think another attempt was made after that for the government to appoint two persons from amongst its nominations to the Senate who were not two persons who were not members of the party that formed the government. And I think on that occasion, Mr. Douglas O'Rain, if I record correctly, and Professor Trevor Monroe were two of those persons appointed. One of the things that we need to hear from the public is whether they are satisfied